Now this is getting real comical. This is your guy, DJ Nero Trump. Yeah, this is turning into a straight up circus act. I want to give all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh Bashum Yahushai Bashum Rachak Wadash. Their honors to the elder apostles and bishops of the great millstone that rule well. And as always, peace, blessings, and salutations to the hopeful elect tabernacle of David, scattered abroad across the four winds of the earth. So your man, Donald Trump, this guy comes out and blatantly lies, to his country, to all his citizens, the tax-paying citizens, people who actually voted this man in and trusted him to be the guy, which is exactly why the scriptures say, "Cursed be he that trusteth in man." Why would you put your trust in man? Now, we all knew who Donald Trump actually was, and we all know his purpose. All right, he's clearly a puppet, a face, and he's definitely under the control of the powers that be. And right now, he's embarrassing himself, and he's definitely embarrassing Babylon. So he comes out and lie about the prices of, food, the prices of energy, housing prices. So he just coming out and just straight lying, saying that he lowered the prices, when clearly if you go into the markets, if you, go to the grocery store, or even if, you look at your utility bill on your power, your electricity, none of this shit is gone down. People are suffering, and this dude, he's showing you that he gives no fucks given, that he'll just blatantly lie. And this is the same thing that Sleepy Joe was doing. He got out and he was just blatantly lying to the public. This is what they do. They get up there and they lie. All right? Because, the scriptures tell you about these devils. The wicked are estranged from the womb as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Matter of fact, let me get a couple of precepts. This is what they do. It's Psalms 52 in verse 2, and it says, "Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness." Salah. All right, so this is basically what, Trump, the latest thing that he got caught up in was a complete lie. Lying about the conditions of the country. So let's take a listen to this report. This is from CBS News.
And he doubled down on those claims during an Oval Office meeting with Norway's Prime Minister on Thursday. Dramatically dropped, and he doubled down on those claims during an Oval Office meeting with Norway's Prime Minister on Thursday.
I said I was going to get prices down. I did. Energy just hit $1.98 in a couple of states. It's way down. Energy's down, and we're about $64 a barrel. When I came in, and we were looking at $89, $90, $95. Groceries are down. When I was with you 2 months ago, you were complaining about eggs. The price was down 87%. So we did a great job. Housing is doing very well. We should lower interest rates.
Here to fact check these claims.
They just get up there and just straight lie, just like Biden. That farewell speech he had, where he was lying about how much progress Babylon made. All the shit that he really didn't do, that he was, claiming. There's nothing to these devils. It's just straight up lie, man. It's in their blood. Was that Psalms 144? In verse 11. And it says, rid me and deliver me from the hand of strange children, whose mouth speaketh vanity, and their right hand is a right hand of falsehood. And that's what they speak. All right. And people really bought into this dude. He's a straight up character. Okay? He's a straight up character, man. And him and Biden, they both playing you people. They were given a role and they're playing it to the T. But you can't fool the men of the Lord. You can't fool the prophets. You can't fool those who got sense. And you got people out there that's they got some sense. You even got Edomites, that's not buying the BS. And that's why when it's all said and done, when shit gets real and they take it to the streets, it's going to be mainly Esau out there setting it off because they not happy. A lot of Trump supporters, voters, they having all kind of regret. They're not pleased. They feel betrayed. Good. And hopefully y'all kick something off, man. Let Babylon fall how it must. The Lord said a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. So let's hear this. So she's finna fact check everything that the president just said. All right.
James is Rona Terran. She's the executive editor of CBS News Confirmed. So Rona, let's start with the claim that the price of gas and oil have come down since President Trump's inauguration. Is that true?
That is not true. So gas prices, if you look at the average cost for a gallon, that is around $3.16 as of today. That's according to data from AAA. Now, that is actually up a few cents since Trump took office, not by a huge amount, by about 4 cents. But President Trump has made this claim a lot over the last number of weeks. He said that in a few states, at a few gas stations, that gas had hit $1.98. So we scoured around, we looked for any evidence of this. We actually spoke to a company called Gas Buddy. Now, they track prices at more than 150,000 gas stations across the country. They said they've also been looking for evidence of this.
Okay.
The cheapest price they could find was $2.19 at a gas station in Texas as of Thursday. So no evidence for that. As for the crude oil prices, about $64 a barrel, that's actually true if you look at a standard measure. But President Trump did exaggerate the price at the time he assumed office. It was around $75, not $95.
Okay, so let's talk groceries and eggs specifically. The president claimed prices were so low, the White House was able to get all these eggs, thousands of real eggs for their annual Easter egg roll. What do the prices show?
So if you look across the board at groceries, the best indicator of this is we have the consumer price index. So the latest was from February to March, and there was actually an increase of 0.49%. So a small increase, but an increase nonetheless. Actually, the last time we saw a decrease with this was actually March of last year. So it has been increasing. Now, for eggs, the president does love to talk about the price of eggs. It really depends. There's actually good news for consumers coming here. But there's two different measures. So there's the wholesale price. That's what the likes of Walmart or Costco will pay producers. The wholesale price is actually down dramatically since President Trump took office, around 50%. Now, there's obviously a lot of factors that play into that. The bird flu, for example.
Well, we're gonna really see the results. Since they've been making all these cuts, that's affecting the farmers, the farming market, and the agriculture. The farmers been coming out and blowing a trumpet and sounding an alarm on these funds, these funds that they normally get, and they produce dairy and all that. But a lot of this shit is not looking too good. But this is what they have to do. They have to pacify the masses, tell the people what they want to hear, or else people will be ready to riot. So you tell the people what they want to hear, and you keep them distracted. It's already enough distraction as it is with all the bread and circus. You got the playoffs. You got the NFL drafts. You got these concerts. So society got plenty of distraction. And now Trump, he could just come and just, tell you everything is straight. Don't worry about it. Everything is lowering right now. Y'all good to go. Y'all straight. It's a bold-faced lie. People are hurting. People straight up hurting. But do they care? Absolutely not. And this is what you get for putting your confidence in a unfaithful, unreliable individual. Was that Proverbs? See if I can find that script. Here it is. Proverbs 25:19. It says, confidence in an unfaithful man in a time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. Yeah, you gonna hurt. You're gonna be hurting. And what they got going is not gonna make it any better, because this is all part of the transition. All right, from one system to the next. So let's finish this out.
The supply has gone up because the effects of that have gone down. So wholesale prices are down. Unfortunately, that has not hit consumers yet, because it takes a few weeks. So the US Department of Agriculture released data. The latest data that we have is for April 10th, so it's a little old, but it's $6.23 was the average per dozen in March. So that was actually around record levels. But we do expect that price is going to come down for consumers, and we may see that in the latest figures for April.
We'll have to talk another day about why it takes weeks for wholesale prices decreases to hit consumers. But quickly, home prices. The president says he's helped bring home prices down. Is that true?
So if you look at sales for new single-family homes, that's new builds, those prices have actually gone down. The median price was around $403,000. That is down from February and a decrease from last year. However, if you look at the overall market, there was a new report from the National Association of Realtors this week. There's less good news there. The rate of home buying actually slowed down by about 5.9% between March and February, and those prices continue to climb. So they are actually up month over month, and they're up year over year. So overall, for the overall market, there's obviously numerous things that would play into that, but the housing prices overall are actually up.
Okay.
So this dude, he's found to be a straight liar. All right, which is not a surprise. All right. And this, and it's getting more embarrassing, because, the world just saw you pump fake. All right, you doing this little trade war thing with China, which I believe is set up. But the fact that they called your bluff and didn't back down, and as you throwing these tariffs on them, they throwing them back, and then you realized what this is going to cause in the market: empty shelves. A big panic. And you knew that was going to come, so you eased up off of these high-ass tariffs. So the whole world just seen that happen. But you getting up here lying. You just got caught pump faking to China. Basically you flinched, with what they're saying, because you got a little shook up of what was getting ready to happen. So the Most High is showing that Esau, they're losing their prudence. You didn't seem too confident to follow through, with your little trade war. And let me grab this precept. It's like everything that this man is doing, you wondering who's counseling him. He's getting bad counsel, Proverbs 24:6 says, "For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in a multitude of counselors there is safety." And he ain't getting wise counsel, because so far all this has been backfiring. All right. It's all been backfiring, and he's been forcing these other nations to pursue trade relations and start making deals with each other, just to bypass what Trump is trying to do with the tariffs. So it ain't looking good, man. Let me get Jeremiah 49 and was it 7? Yeah, Jeremiah 49 and 7, it says, concerning Edom, thus saith the Lord of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Is counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Because your wisdom is being challenged by Moab, the washpot. You having all kind of problems on your hands. Then he called for Putin to stop attacking Ukraine, because they launched a barrage of kamikaze drone attacks on Ukraine. Because from what I saw, there was an explosion in a vehicle where you had a Russian general that was killed in that explosion. So Putin, they was like, all right, send out the kamikazes, and they start tearing them Ukrainians up. And then Trump, he pretty much got upset and said he ain't pleased with what Russia just did, and he told Putin basically to stop. And he's been telling Ukraine, hey, just give up the land that they've been trying to take. And then nobody's listening to Trump. It's like you supposed to be the big homie on the block, but you seeing another dude who's as big as you, who's as powerful as you, and he's punching on one of your little homies, and you trying to get in between them and tell them, hey, y'all, cut this out, man, y'all stop. But that's supposed to be a little homie, and he's getting picked apart by the other dude that you don't really want to smoke with like that. And he ain't listening to you. Neither one of them is listening to you. So, we're beginning to see, that influence and that dominance, starting to dissipate. The nations are starting to lose respect. And all that's going to show is the shame. And and this is all the Most High is doing. The Most High is the one, who's lifting up that skirt. Let me get Habakkuk 2. Yeah, Habakkuk 2 and 16, it says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. Let everybody see everything, right? The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And it's all happening simultaneously. Israel's constantly getting exposed, more and more on Israel. And then you got America, man. And when it's all said and done, these two nations, they're gonna find themselves, back to back, cornered, back up against each other's back, while surrounded, being cornered. And like it says in Obadiah, the second verse, the Lord said He's gonna make these small among the heathen and greatly despised. And this is what we're witnessing. Let me get Nahum 3 verse 5. And it says, behold, I am against thee, saith the Lord of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will shew the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. And this dude, he has no shame. He has no shame, man, to get up there and lie like that. And then after the world just seen you, back off. You know how that scene in Stir Crazy, when they got in that scene in jail when they got locked up, Richard Pryor and Gene Wilder, and Gene they got in there trying to act like they was tough, but when they got in there and you had the real wolves up in there, and the character played by Richard Pryor, he started getting weak because he knew what was going on. But Gene Wilder, he still had to, play like he was crazy, and he smacked I forget the guy's name, bald dude. That fly landed on his head, and he smacked him, and the whole jail heard it, and he got up and he threw that punch, but he was thinking that he was gonna land it on Gene Wilder's character, but he ended up hitting the other guy. I believe that dude was he a football player? I forget who, but he was another famous dude too, the actor, but he was a big dude. And when he saw him get up and when he hit him, those of you that remember that movie, you know what I'm talking about. But he swung a punch and missed Gene Wilder's character and ended up hitting dude, and dude had his cigarette in his mouth, and the cigarette curled when he got hit, and the dude got shook up. He was like, "Oh shit," He got real quiet and real dainty, and he took his cigarette out of his hand and put a new one in his mouth and then lit it for him. So Trump, he showed himself. What happened to that energy, man? What was all of the smoke? Go all the way in, man. 200+% tariffs, but you knew what the consequences were. That spelled empty shelves, because this is a consuming nation. We take a lot of imports from China. Most of the shit here is made by China, and they know that. So that just made Trump look real weak. So, yeah, everybody is seeing this, man. Shame. We looking at the end of this man. So, that's pretty much the lesson I just want to respond to this. These devils, they have no shame, in their game. They love to lie. Especially when they themselves ain't hurting. They know the working class and the poor, they're hurting, but they don't care about you. So they'll lie to you any day. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna end off with that. I'm gonna give all honor, all praise, and all glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And then to the next one, Shalom.